All right, all yours.
All right, so I'm going to start with a quick, this isn't the main portion of the presentation, but I want to share this as a presentation that I have been sharing around campus. I'll be presenting at the College Council in a few weeks, and I think it does a good job to show where all the data that I'm going to then show you that we collect and how we collect it. I want to show you what we do with it, and kind of, I think this is really important conversation that we are still kind of ongoing having at Triton. And so the biggest, quick snapshot, conversation pieces that as faculty, you already know kind of the big picture reality of who student is coming in. The big piece that we're starting to grapple with right now in terms of how we support our students is that most college students that are coming into Triton are coming into Triton with middle school, high school, 4 to 7 years of an integrated digital learning experience. They are monitoring their own grades and attendance. If you have a parent, if you are a parent and you have a kid in high school, like you're getting notifications because of the grade updates, like the digital presence for the kids is not just social media and TikTok. It is also how they are entering as college students. And it is important in terms of then how we support those students. And so one of the big things that we're trying to have a conversation with right now is that, yes, our average student is still that 18 to 23-year-old student. The average Triton student, though, is a part-time student. 75% of our students are part-time. 75% of our faculty are part-time. So we have this population on campus in which 3/4 of our faculty and 3/4 of our students often only come here for one class, maybe two. All right? That being said, one of the really fun things that we found with a lot of our data polls and assessments is that even though a lot of our students are part-time, that doesn't mean that they're nighttime students. A lot of our students are coming in for a class and maybe they're working night shifts. Maybe they're part-time automotive certificate students and they come in for one class during the day and then they go back to an automotive shop they work in the evening. So this kind of mix here. Then through a lot of student surveys, pretty consistently have heard this struggle, this desire. 1/4 of our students there's a SESI survey we do, which is probably one of the most effective surveys on campus because we have a whole collection of faculty and staff that will physically bring these surveys to classrooms. I don't know if anyone has had this happen in their class where we will bring these surveys to the students and wait for the students to fill it out. So it is actually completed. 1/4 of our students acknowledge now in 2 separate SESI surveys for our previous one, 2022, 2024, this kind of vague idea of more care. All right, and then this other idea, still a hefty portion of students identifying that this is like feeling invisible to faculty and staff. These are intentionally small. They're not meant to be seen, but all of that information comes from these. And I will get to the data, but I like to present this kind of case there. And so then we start to dive a little bit deeper into data. So one of the big data metrics that our research and institutional effectiveness department collects is high enrollment, low success courses. Our high enrollment, low success courses are 5 highest or 6 highest, right? The lowest success courses in arts and sciences, so these are the highest enrolled, these are the lowest success courses from spring 25. The really fascinating piece that starts to overlap there is if we jump, so I'm going to jump from this intersection to where the student success database that I mentioned that I manage, Serum Advise. One of the pieces of information we collect in there is course drop data. And students are required, whether or not they do it on their own or they do it with a faculty member, they do it with an advisor, to list a reason why they dropped. One of the reasons that students list why they dropped is unable to keep up. Unable to keep up from fall students comes out to about 15% of our total students that dropped courses, the reason they dropped. Of those 15% of the students unable to keep up, all of them were in one of these 3 courses. Those that are basic quick stats combination right there, obviously the ones with low success rate are going to have then the highest drop rate. But we're seeing this trend then. So what does this mean? What does this mean for a population of students that come in, maybe only taking one course at a time because they're part-time? They're still that traditional age student, that 18 to 23-year-old student. A lot of the students, then, if they're not a certificate-based student, have to go through this pathway. If they're coming in for an Associate of Arts, Associate in Science, or an Associate of Engineering and Science, they have to go through this path. They're going to have to complete some version of a rhetoric course. They're going to have to get through one of these math courses. These are the...
Got smart wording.
Got smart. These are the courses, the development courses building into then that Math 110, the Rhetoric 101, the Psych 100. Students are required to go through those paths. So we have this huge collection of students taking these courses and not being successful. And the struggle is that when we pull all this data together, we start to see this worrying trend of the students that then aren't successful or drop the class also have some of the lowest retention numbers. They end up not returning that following semester. So, what does this mean to adjunct faculty? I don't have an answer to that yet. But I want to show then kind of some of the bigger picture conversations. We'll get there still. Big picture stuff, some more data, big picture conversations. That all being said, okay, some of the struggles, some of the big successes, we're pretty steadily increasing our completing rates. The big piece of information to point out, you don't need to see the numbers, but you can see the colors. This blue line right here, that's certificates. That is following national trends. National trends at community colleges, at four-year institutions, certificates are on the insane rise. Same thing is mirrored here at Triton. Those students don't often have to go through that path of the low success or high enrollment, low success courses. Those students may not be required to take a rhetoric course, but they may have to go, maybe they're in the engineering or they're in an automotive program, so they're not going to ever have to touch into that world. I'm going to pause that thought there and jump into the next one. So I'm skipping ahead because some of this is a different conversation, but then we get down to the nitty gritty. Okay, so then we go, so what role do you play? The two biggest areas of student support that happen in the classroom that allow staff outside of the classroom to support the students and faculty, and I don't say this because I'm in charge of both of these, but I do say it because I'm in charge of both of these, is submitting self-service attendance and keeping your Blackboard content updated. And that means regularly updating grades and information. That goes back to that original comment in terms of who these students are when they're coming in. We regularly hear from students, from our early college students. Does everyone know what the early college program is?
Is that like where they're in high school and they take, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had some students.
So the early college program has a few different variations to it. There are some early college programs where we have high school teachers that are credentialed to teach a college level course, and those students will take the college level course at their high school. We have some where the high school students will come here, and we have some where the high school students will finish with their high school diploma and their associates by the end of their high school degree. So dual credit, dual enrollment, dual degree. The biggest feedback we get from superintendents, principals, and teachers is that it is a huge shock for their students that when they start taking these college students, the content is not the shock. The shock is that they don't have regular updated information regarding their attendance and their grades, because they have that in their high school classes. They all open up their Chromebooks, and 5 years ago, maybe we could have argued that the difference between school districts will have different variables on access to technology. Every district in the state of Illinois right now has some version of a piece of technology in a student's hands, whether or not it's an iPad or a Chromebook. Maybe you go far North Shore, you got iPad, or you can get MacBooks, wherever you want to go. But they have access to it. They open it up, they go to their Google Classroom, they look at their assignments, they go to their LMS, they look at their grades, they go to their attendance chart, they check and see, oh, I was noted late yesterday, I'm going to tell my mom that I wasn't late. We all know the game. But Our high school partners then are coming back saying, why? Why is this different? The answer we often have is it shouldn't be. And then, so this is the conversation we're having with a lot of our faculty. That's why I'm trying to share this information with you guys, is that submitting self-service attendance, I'm going to show everyone where to do it. I'm done here in a second. But what self-service attendance is as simple as entering your attendance into the self-service portal. Once that information is submitted, we then have a student support services team that monitors it. We monitor trends. We monitor that if a student misses a certain number of classes, they automatically get an email and then a follow-up phone call from my team. That becomes the most effective kind of quick, immediate response. Has anyone submitted or used before the support referral or the early alert system we have on campus? I'm going to tell you right now, don't do it.
Because nothing happens.
It's been ineffective for a large portion. I manage the system. I run the system, and I will tell you, it's not ineffective because of the system. It is ineffective because of the process that is required for the support to have to happen. So I'll play out the scenario for you. Student misses 2 classes. You're concerned, you submit a support referral on a Friday after the student missed the Tuesday, Thursday class. Support referral is then seen on Monday by my team. We reach out to the student. We're a cold call. They don't know who we are, but we're a cold call. We don't get the student, we leave a voicemail. We make a note to follow up with that student in a week. We send that student an email. Student doesn't respond. Maybe, by chance, by luck, that student is connected to a cohort on campus, like Triton and Surge, one of the amazing student groups on campus. They try to reach out to the student. They get a hold of the student, but they get a hold of the student 2 weeks after the referral's been submitted because we had to go through all these processes and these chains of conversation. The reality is, if that student wanted to return to your class, they already did so. If they didn't, you've already dropped them, or you should have.
So I teach an online asynchronous class,
Yes.
so I can't take attendance.
Yes.
This has been my only way to sort of alert the school to the fact that somebody's floundering.
Yes. So that was actually one of the big shifts why we moved from this retention alert, which was kind of a really reactive, to it was a marketing kind of brand shift, but it was also an intentional shift to try and move to the idea of support referrals. So if you do identify a specific concern, directing that student to the place where they can get support. The struggle is that in an asynchronous class that you may not ever see the student's individual face, you don't actually know why they're struggling.
Yeah.
I would say
I've already emailed them personally, obviously.
For sure.
I don't just say like, hey, school, go take care of it. I've reached out to them. I'm not hearing anything, you know.
I would say the most effective means, kind of the checklist of support, is going to be 2 things. It's going to be the attendance submission and Blackboard grades updates regularly. Next, beyond that, is going to be you doing the communication. I already said that. The next tier from there is that if there is a genuine concern and you know what the concern is, submit a support referral. If you don't know what the concern is, I would say the final step, and this is a step that we've actually done now this semester, we've done it with 4 different faculty, is actually emailing me directly. Because the only other recourse we have there is then if you email saying, Jason, I'm really concerned about this student. I haven't heard from them in 2 weeks. I don't know how any way to get a hold of them. What I do is I then go through our background system. I check and see, is there anyone on campus that has a relationship with them? Have they met with a tutor before? Have they met with an advisor because I can look at their registration records? Are they part of Triton and Surge? Are they a student athlete? Going through that background list is the only kind of next step we can go from there.
I hear what you're saying. I want to take up all the space with my own particular, you know, online asynchronous, but I never met you. I didn't even know you existed until a few minutes ago. But if they're in trio or student athlete or whatever, I know about that because those people have already reached out to me.
Then I'd say
So
reach out to those support people.
If they were in those groups, I would have done that. So it's really, you know, anyway.
I hear what you're saying. I'm telling you right now, the support referral system, you are an anomaly. You are an outlier.
Sure.
It is an
I still
abuse.
want to support my students.
100%. But
Online.
it's become a system in which it's a spammed system. Of the support referrals submitted for fall, 90% of them were submitted under a topic that had nothing to do with the content of the support referral. We have an academic coaching support referral submission that is directly meant to be referring the student to an academic coaching, executive functioning support we have on campus. Danielle Flores, she's amazing. 90% of those submissions had nothing to do with academic coaching. They were chosen because they were the first alphabetical list in the support referral options. I don't know what to say besides the fact that if we are having to wade through all of the chaos of the spam amount of submissions, we miss the ones that need support. So I hear you that you don't know who I am. Part of the struggle is that I've also presented at every faculty training workshop since I started here for 3 years. So this is, it's a good conversation. It's a good conversation because also every semester since I started, we're going on 3 years now, Stu Campos has included the support referral and student support assistance in content in the emails that go out to all faculty to start the semester.
Why I use them.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this is the conversation. I'm saying now.
You're saying don't use them.
No, I hear you. Again, I'm gonna keep pushing back because support referrals, they don't work.
Well, I know. I mean, historically, the email that comes out that says it comes from the support is you should reach out to your instructor. It's equivalent. So I get it. I get what you're saying.
Okay.
They have. I've been here for 13 years. They've never very effective.
Yes. So, and honestly, the conversation around what does it mean to then support a student that is an online student through attendance is a huge conversation because part of the struggle is that for us to use attendance for online classes, we need faculty to agree to what the definition of attendance is for online classes.
Yes, let me jump into something here. I've been here for a while too. I know for a long time before the system changed a little bit, we had where we'd say, students support can also go through what was called academic success center.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe when you forwarded a concern about the student as a faculty and so on in your specific department and so on, the email gets to academic success center, and there are people there who are looking where this is coming from and what kind of concern does the instructor have about this student. And internally within the academic success center, Trio is also in there. They will be able to route that email to the right person right away and make sure that they get in touch with you, they get in touch with the student. I don't know whether they've been here for a while we got to see all utilize the academic success center as an umbrella.
Okay, but we moved from that to the Euclidean or whatever system.
Lucian?
Yeah.
Lucian is the overall company that runs it. We moved to the portal that we have now. The portal was launched last July or 2 years ago. Yeah, same system in terms of referring.
Same system, except
just
they have all these
different storefront.
What you need to choose, and then you have one option to choose. Is a student attending? Do you want us to read the student? You only have one option, and then you have an opening that says, "Can you give any description?" and so on. And
Yeah, but that's what I'm filling out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what Jason
And
is
so-
saying, no matter what
He's
you do
saying
there,
don't do it.
it's just
Right,
no. It's,
yeah.
And the final point I would say in terms of the support referrals, because I want to get some of the data stuff too, is that national data has proven, now we're going on at least 10 years, if you go through either looking at the ICCV data, looking at Illinois, you can go to national data. If a student does not receive some type of early alert system alert within the first 2 weeks of the start of the semester, the effectiveness of that drops to about 5%. So it's also timing. So we're trying to figure out we're trying to find a solution to the struggle in which, how do we create support with an impersonal system that often is the result of a student struggling and a faculty not knowing how to support them, And so reaching out for help, for support, but also on our end, how do we then respond through an impersonal approach if we don't know them? And that's tough. It's really tough. So sharing then some of the destinations of this information, I want to show quickly, this is the student success database that we use. This is here in Revise. This is the dashboard, quick snapshot of kind of what we're monitoring in terms of student absences. So right now we're monitoring the unexcused and excused absences. These are just a list that I will scroll through, but there's a whole lot of background stuff that is flying around through it. But basically what this kind of gives us the ability to do is just kind of keep an eye on, like I said, on the attendance trends. If a student hits this threshold, the greater than 2 unexcused or greater than or equal to excused, they will automatically get an email and then they'll get a follow-up phone call. The weird part about communication with the student is that these emails come directly from me. They're automated, but they come from me. We have sent out around 5,000 emails already in the fall. And of those emails, we've gotten about 2,600 direct responses, which is insane. I don't know why we're getting so many direct responses, which is the data that we're trying to share out in terms of the success of communication with the students. The only thing the emails say is, "Hi, Shelly, this is Jason from the student assistance team. Your faculty member gave us a heads up that you've missed a number of classes. We want to make sure that everything's okay. Let us know." We are at a near 54% response rate to those emails for fall 25, and now working with the research team to try and figure out kind of, is there then a noticeable trend in terms of whether or not those students are more successful? That's a whole other conversation. But this is where we see, and then the next kind of big, I want to show then, has everyone seen the where to go to submit the online attendance again, or to submit your attendance via self-service? I know the online attendance, we're going to get to that conversation. But does everyone know where to submit attendance if you were to go?
You go. Is
All right,
it like where the final grades are? Or?
Yeah, so log into the portal. This is our portal. If you don't know what log into the portal, you can go to, let's go to the main web page, quick links, My Triton portal. Log in, you'll just need your email. You have to go through the email and a multi-factor authentication process. That'll let you land in the portal here. And from the portal, you're just going to go down to the faculty and advisor self-service card, this card right here. And now you're going to go into the same place, like James was saying, the same place where you do your grades. So faculty self-service link right here. And that's going to bring you to the landing page. It's not showing me any active sessions right now because I'm not active sessions, but I did log in a separate page. And sometimes I get to convince the system that I'm Christopher Clem. So today I'm Christopher Clem. So here's my culinary mathematics class. So this is where I would go to see my roster. This is where I would submit my midterm and final grades. But this is also the same link where I would submit the attendance. And you can submit attendance the day of. You can submit attendance retroactively by going back. You can export the attendance information if you want to keep it for yourself. One of the fringe benefits of submitting attendance via self-service is that since faculty are required to send their attendance records to the records department at the end of the semester, if you are submitting attendance here, you don't need to do that. We already have the information. It's already collected. It's there. You don't need to send it to anybody. So when it comes to online attendance, we have our famous, does anyone know Antigone? Antigone, she's my favorite rogue faculty member. Antigone has a few faculty that she's partnered with to kind of just go rogue and do their own version of attendance for an online class. Right now, since there is no true definition at Triton College for what it means to be in attendance for an online session, you can submit attendance however you would want based on those sessions. You're still going to have the sessions show up in the portal. If you have kind of comments, concerns, or suggestions for that, please reach out, because part of the struggle we're having right now is that a lot of faculty that want to use online attendance I need your perspectives and your opinions on kind of what would be the best parameter to then start to collect that information and then start to push back on creating a college definition of that. But this is the attendance page. One of the big fun changes coming up in the spring is that we just got approval also to add student photos to your rosters. So your student photo will show up next to their name. That was a big push from the spring semester. There was a big push from the Belongingness Committee to try and create more means for faculty to know who their students were and for students to know who their faculty are. And so you'll start to see their ID photo show up there. Questions on this?
So I have one question. So I was doing on the Blackboard,
Yes.
when you open your course, right-hand side, they have the mark attendance.
Yes.
So I do that every day, but is it not connected with this one?
Unfortunately, no, and that
Oh, because
is
I was thinking, because I attended the
yes.
faculty orientation course,
Yes.
and you mentioned that. And I thought that is connected, so every day I'm doing there.
Yes, and I apologize for that, and that is something that is weirdly entirely outside of our control. The Lucy and the company that hosts all of our portal, our database, everything, they will allow us to import grade information from Blackboard, but they don't want attendance coming over.
Okay.
And
Because
yeah.
I did whole semester, I did there.
I'll still
Before
give
I
you-
was doing manually,
Yeah.
then after this time orientation, I was doing there.
I love that it was yes, that I have to
So
apologize
that
for.
means we have to do here.
Yeah, in self-service if possible, and it's a pain to jump over, but part of it is the
Then I
requirements
have
of
to
the
do,
system.
like, we have to do twice, right?
You wouldn't have to do it twice. You don't have to do it in Blackboard.
Because my attendance and participation, I do give them grade for the participation. And I use attendance and participation together.
Okay.
So that is why I need that for my grade
Yeah.
book, and this one I have to do for the officer.
If you are interested in this, again, I'm going to leave my contact information on down here. One of the things that we're doing for this upcoming semester is we are doing similar to the way that we did a pilot with attendance. We're doing a Blackboard pilot in which faculty that want to kind of commit to keeping Blackboard data regularly updated and then having us get to a place where we're monitoring and supporting students that are in those classes and then seeing how that data affects the students. We would love to have more faculty join that. How that then solves the problem of having to also submit attendance and self-service. If you know of a way to fight a multinational billion-dollar corporation, I would love help with that, but Lucian has straight up just said no to us, so don't know why.
And about attendance, I have one question, because like maybe like all of you know, but so like some students, they just routinely they're missing two, and maybe for one they're emailing that to excuse, and then the third time they're coming to class again missing and coming, so I couldn't withdraw them. And another also, if they miss several classes, I was always sending the alert, but they never showed up. Like few they did on and off, and I was trying to give them chance to, if they can cover up, make up. So what we should actually do after 3, just withdraw immediately? Or
I would say as long follow your department's guidelines, but one of the biggest issues that we have with student support is that there is still a significant amount of students that will miss class or not attend a class at all, and the faculty ends up not dropping them, and then they continue on through the end of the semester, and that has ramifications in multiple different areas on campus, everything from financial aid to for the student, to the college's cost on paying for the license for their material, to the student then still getting notifications and emails from attendance records, like all that stuff. So following your department's guidelines for when to drop the student, I would always say, please do it.
okay, because always I was thinking maybe they will come back because and they are not withdrawing or they are not dropping. So then it is problem that if I withdraw and then they say, oh, I didn't want, I wanted to continue, then what to do?
And it's really of what you put down in your syllabus after, just like Jason said, after following, you had that kind of a map. It was a departmental guide.
Yeah, Department 3.
Okay, so,
But
and then you have to enforce it, and whatever, again, your understanding.
oh my
is
God,
it's
then
consecutive,
50%
excuse,
withdraw.
yeah, and it's hard, right?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Okay.
But if they see that we're being, letting go, then it's easy for them to go on.
And that's a good transition into my final point is just then us monitoring that course drop information. And so one of the big parts of our system is just being able to do big data pulls. And so one of the big projects we're working on right now is assessment on reasons for students dropping classes. And so the unable to keep up is a big one. The drop for non-payment is a whole other category, but the big ones we have that we are doing student outreach for right now, we have a team of three students that do peer-to-peer calls, and they are for students that list their reasons for dropping are either unable to keep up, technology issues, or transportation issues. And in each of those categories from fall 25, that totals out to about 250 students per category. And just reaching out to the students and asking, like, is there anything that you need? We've had a lot of success specifically with the transportation issues one and making sure the students know about the Troy Care Collective that's part of Student Life that has free Lyft rides for students. But it's a journey to try and kind of comb through this, but this is another destination of where the data resides when you submit the instructor termination piece. This is a big one that we're playing around with right now, specifically with the last date attendance data. This last date attended data pulls over also from self-service, so it is really fascinating if you have those students that attended one or two classes, but then they showed up 2 weeks later and they're still in the class and then they don't attend again. We're trying to comb through and see if there's anything this information can tell us around a student's attendance records and their eventual reason for dropping or being dropped.
Question for you, Jason. You said there could be a situation where a student is dropping because of technology. What do you mean? Are you relating they don't have laptops or something along that line?
Yes. Yeah. So that is one of the big submissions. Right now we have a small, tiny laptop loan program in the library, and those laptops are usually gone by the end of the first week. That program is expanding, about 75% expansion for the spring, officially going under the Troy Care Collective category, labeled Troy Tech, but ideally trying to spread the word around the fact that this is available if a student needs the technology support. But usually when we follow up with the student, they'll say, I don't have a working laptop, or I'm not able to get to campus, and my laptop is not reliable, or I don't have reliable internet, kind of that breakdown of categories.
I teach an online class, and it's interesting because the students will have different types of technology, or laptops, iPads, and whatever that they're using. And it is very true that for Triton College student, you can always access Microsoft package to use. If they don't have, their own, they can download as long as they provide a Triton College.
And part of if they are logged in through the portal, they then have access to all Microsoft services via their online. The online version of all of the Microsoft applications is not as robust as the desktop versions, but they have access to all of it by going through OneDrive.
But there is a catch on that, because I teach a CIS course. Microsoft, for instance, will not give one application for people who are using the Mac, and that's standard to them. And I ran into that situation with the student and shared it with my chairperson in my department and said the best, as much as the student is struggling with getting all homeworks submitted in time and so on, the students is even going to run into a bigger problem, because when we get into another application, there is no way that the student is going to have Microsoft have an exception and say, we are going to give you a database application. They don't do that, period, and they have it all set. And I told the student, do one thing, two things. Well, you can use the computers at the campus, at the library area. We have, computers there, check with the help desk and make sure that you understand the open hours and so on. And I said, another one, which, I'm not sure how it will work. Can you see if you can get a loaner from campus?
Yeah.
And that's why I asked, in terms of technology, and you just mentioned that you don't have enough. So yes. I don't know whether the student approached the campus and was told no, because he eventually dropped after realizing, I'm going to run into serious problems at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an ongoing struggle. I mean, part of the reality of the laptop loan program is that fall 24, going into spring 25, 50% of the laptops loaned were never returned. They just disappeared. And we have no recourse, because those students then had a hold on their account, but they didn't return to Triton. And so they can't register, but if they're not going to register, then we have no other means to get that laptop back. So the IT team, the library team, and Student Life are all brainstorming ways to try and respond to that, but it's kind of that moving target battle sometimes. Final thing I want to show in terms of where data goes, in terms of our student support, the biggest success we've had in terms of some version of a online submission of support request has actually been a means for a student to do it. And if a student logs into the portal, they're going to see the student assistance request card. And then they have these drop-down options, and then they will submit it, and then that content will show up right here under the student experience alerts cards. That card was opened in fall 24, and we are averaging around 4 submissions a day and have not dropped below that. And it is across the board with requests. Sometimes it is, we've had a few students this week that said, I have an interview coming up and I'm concerned that I don't have anything, which was beautiful because we just opened the Troy Closet with Student Life, so we forwarded them to Student Life. We have at the start of the semester, the highest rate of submission is, I have a class in this building, where do I park? And my favorite is I have a class in R building, I registered in B, I didn't know that R existed. Where is R? Good question. We need a tunnel or something to get to the other side of campus. But this has been probably our most successful version of kind of giving accessibility. The craziest part about this is that we have still yet to advertise this to any students. It's there, and students tend to find it on their own. We are actively advertising it at orientations, but it's a whole nother conversation because orientation is not required. So it's a whole other gamut. So long story short, we collect a lot of data. We have a lot of data that comes in. Support referrals, I wish they were most successful. I would say if you feel like you are submitting them directly to the support that's needed, please keep doing it. If you don't know where to go, please reach out to me. That all being said, that's all I got. I'm going to add my email here in case anyone needs it. Any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts?
So at the end of the semester, we submit grades and attendance. In the portal, is it just attendance?
Say it again?
So at the end of the semester, we were obligated to submit grades and attendance.
The board policy on the website is very vague, but it does say that there's an expectation that faculty take attendance and submit their attendance record, their attendance information to the records department. How that plays out and how that then manifests feels very different from every department, but that is, you can go find the board policy on the website, and it just says expectations that faculty take attendance and submit their attendance records to the records department at the end of every semester. The enforcement of that and then the follow-up on that is still pretty.
Jason, I was gonna ask, kind of similar. So if we're marking our attendance on that
Self-service.
self-service, thank you, I couldn't think, on self-service, is there a way of downloading it?
Yep, yeah, so when you're there, I don't know if I closed it already, so we'll go back. So,
Right.
you're fine. No.
Because, okay, like I have to send it to my chair.
Yes, I would say, who's your chair?
Julianne Murphy.
Oh, okay, good. As long as someone that should beat me in a fight. I was gonna say I can fight them. I could access, if you're submitting it via self-service, we have it and they don't need it to be submitted, but if you need to submit it, I can also show you how to do that.
Yeah, I have to send it to her and then I have to send it to the dean too.
Yes, I'm saying I could show them how to download it on their own, so they wouldn't even need to have the email, like removing the process of the download. But if you are on your attendance records, you'll see in the corner here just the export option.
Okay,
And you can just download that as an Excel file and then send that at the end of the semester.
Save.
okay.
Yeah, so you can download it there. Julianne was actually one of the early faculty members we were in conversation with in terms of, she was part of the pilot of self-service attendance submission, so I wouldn't have to fight her. It's good. Again, I would lose that fight.
Well, because I have to, I do a special report for her besides just sending my attendance, so.
Yeah. Cool, well, thank you for letting me share.
Do you want to hit the stop?
Yeah, it's not recording, but it's